You know, for decades, whenever we talked about climate change in a business context, it was always about one thing: threat. But what if that's only half the story? We're going to explore how the smartest businesses out there are completely reframing this challenge, turning a global constraint into their biggest catalyst for growth.
So let's just ask it outright. Is climate change a threat to your business, or is it a strategic opportunity? The truth is, it's both. What used to be seen as some external green issue has now kicked the door down and is sitting right there in the boardroom, forcing a complete overhaul of how we think about strategy.
We're seeing this massive shift in mindset. It's just not about playing defense anymore, simply trying to control the damage. The leading organizations, they're playing offense. They're using this moment as a trigger to innovate, attract investment, and build much more resilient businesses for the long haul.
So what's really driving this big strategic reframe? Why is this all happening right now? Well, it isn't just one single event. It's actually a powerful mix of forces that are fundamentally reshaping the entire market.
You've got these three huge forces changing the rules of the game for literally every industry. First, regulation is just raising the bar for everyone. Second, capital, the money, is getting smarter, and it's actively picking winners and losers based on who's ready for climate change. And third, all this pressure is sparking a ton of innovation that's unlocking new efficiencies and real competitive advantages.
And this leads to a really critical moment of truth. If your organization is still treating climate strategy like it's just some compliance checkbox exercise, you're already falling behind. The real risk isn't the new regulations. It's being reactive. Proactive leaders are the ones who will grab the advantage, while everyone else is stuck playing a very expensive game of catch-up.
Okay, so how do you actually get your arms around all this? We need a practical framework, right? Something that doesn't require a PhD in climate science. And it really all boils down to understanding two fundamental types of risk. First up, we have physical risk. The simplest way to think about this is the climate hits your stuff. This is the tangible, direct impact you can see and feel. Things like floods and storms, but also those slow burn changes like rising temperatures that affect your people, your equipment, and your ability to operate day in and day out. And hey, this is not some abstract idea. If you're seeing more stop work orders because of heat, if your HVAC systems are failing more often, if your supply routes are getting disrupted, or if your insurance premiums are just going through the roof, that's physical risk in action. If it's showing up in your incident logs or your maintenance tickets, you're already feeling it. Now, the second category is transition risk. This is about the market changing the rules of the game on you. This isn't about the weather hitting your factory. This is about the commercial and compliance pressures that pop up as the entire economy starts to decarbonize. It's about your clients, your investors, and your regulators changing how business gets done. You see this when a customer asks for your carbon emissions data just so you can bid on a project, or when a building in your portfolio is suddenly worth less because it doesn't meet new energy standards, or when your bank starts asking a lot more tough questions before they'll approve a loan. If it's showing up in your contracts or on investor calls, that's transition risk. So these two risks, they're really two sides of the same coin, and they force you to answer two fundamental questions. On the physical side, it's, can we operate safely and reliably as the climate keeps changing? That's all about operational resilience. On the transition side, it's, will our business model even be competitive as all the rules tighten up? And that's about your commercial viability. A winning strategy has to answer a solid yes to both.
Okay, so theory is great, but how do you turn this into action? Well, you don't need a 5-year study. You can actually get a clear, actionable picture in just one quarter. And this isn't about complex climate models. It's a straightforward business process. You start by listing what's critical. Then you map the specific pressures to those assets. You score them simply based on impact. Then, and this is the most important part, you translate that risk into dollars and cents. And finally, you assign clear ownership. This is what makes the risk real and gets people moving.
And this is exactly how you make risk tangible for the people who make decisions. You don't need perfect numbers. A quick back-of-the-envelope calculation of downtime cost is so much more powerful than a vague high-risk label. Remember, rough numbers drive action. The hunt for fake precision just leads to paralysis.
So what's the end result? It's not some 100-page report that's going to sit on a shelf. In just 90 days, you can have a prioritized list of your top risks, a cost range for each of them, and a funded plan with someone's name right next to each action item. We're talking about concrete things you can actually get done this quarter. The ultimate goal here is to get past vague ambitions and into disciplined execution. It's about building a system, a repeatable process that connects identifying a risk directly to the decisions you make about your budgets, your capital plans, and your operational priorities. That's how real change actually happens. So ultimately, it really comes down to this. Climate change is redefining how value is created and protected. You can treat it as a constraint on your business and just focus on damage control, or you can see it as a catalyst, a way to drive smarter, more resilient growth. The choice of how you frame this challenge is what will truly define your organization's future.